Alright, I'm going to replace the wheel hub on this 2000 Grand Prix. Before you get it lifted up, you're going to want to loosen your lug nuts. Okay, once you have it up securely on jack stands, go ahead and finish removing your lug nuts and take your wheel off. Alright, once your wheel's off, you're going to need to take your brake caliper off so that you can take the axle nut off to pull the hub off. 15 millimeter, and the other one's down here, to take your caliper off. And then you want to set it on something. You don't want to let it hang from the hose or kink it or pinch it, or you can damage the brake hose and then your brakes won't work right. Alright, once you get your two mounting bolts out, you slide the caliper off the rotor. You might need to hit it with a hammer. Okay, caliper's off. Got it set up. Take your rotor off. Set it aside. Alright. Then we need to get this axle nut off so we can take the hub off. Now I looked this up online and it said it was a 36 millimeter. So I bought a 36 and it is way too big. But if you look at it, the axle nut looks fairly new, so somebody's replaced it, and this part your socket would go on is a different size than the original. So this actually ended up being a 33 for me, but it's supposed to be a 36. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and break this loose. I'm going to need both hands to do that. These are generally on there pretty damn tight, so you may need a breaker bar or a really long ratchet. If you have a breaker bar, you definitely want to use that. Okay. Mine actually broke free really easy, but I'm telling you this because it's new. Otherwise, it would be a real pain in the ass to get off. Jesus, come on. Alright. Then we can get our hub off of here. And I'm going to see if I can get my slide hammer hooked up to this. Alright, so this one's a little different than I've done in years past. You can see this bolt here. It's actually bolted on from the back. Usually, I'm used to just seeing this piece and you yank it out of there. So here's the new one. But right here, you got 3 bolts. Jesus. The geese flew over. Alright. So, there's actually mounting bolts, 3 of them on the back, that we got to take out first before we can take this hub out. And there's an electrical connector for the ABS or speed sensor or what have you right there. So we need to unplug that first too. There you go, it's unplugged. So let's get these bolts out. Alright, so these are a 1/2 inch. As you can see, there's no room to put a ratchet on there. So we're gonna have to use an old-fashioned regular open and closed end wrench to get these off. 1/2 inch. Alright, so I'm having to use this swivel joint here so that I have clearance to get these out. And this top one's going to be a bitch. I'm trying to figure out how to turn the wheel to open that up for me. Word of advice, I would not use these ratcheting wrenches. I did. And they ended up getting jammed up against this CV axle here, and then I couldn't get the fuckers off. So don't use that. Alright, so I got the bottom 2 out. This last one is clear up in there. So again, I'm going to use this swivel joint to get it out of there. So there's all 3 of our mounting bolts, which actually Turned out to be a 13, like the half went on really tight, but the 13 fit better, so. And this is actually loose. Look at that. Usually you gotta beat these out of here. So I'm gonna straighten my wheel back out and pull this thing out of here. That way the axle's not at an angle. Yeah, typically you would have to beat these things off or attach a slide hammer, but this one looks like it's just gonna come right out. Oh yeah. Now we got that connector back there to pull through. Alright, so we got that wire and connector holding it back. And it's just clipped on right here. So I just need to unclip it. And then this thing will come out. So there's the old one. The bracket. And this is what you're left with. So now we just need to install our new one. And you're going to need to feed the wire through here before you put it on. That way you can reconnect it. Okay, so your bracket just goes back on like this. So your tab's right there to hook up the new connector. Okay, don't forget your bracket. Line up the holes. And then you need to turn this to line up the holes. But my wire here is all the way at the top, so I actually need to spin it this way to lower the wire and the coupler enough so that I can clip it back on the bracket. Okay, got everything lined up. Got my wire spun down. Got it reconnected to the bracket. Got it plugged in and hooked up. So now I just need to feed my mounting bolts back through. I'm going to do one at a time until I can get them to catch just a little bit, and then do the others before I tighten it down. I did the bottom two first because they're easier to get to. Then I was able to line that up. So we're just going to put them all in and tighten them back down. Okay. I got these all the way down. Now we just need to tighten them down. Now they're supposed to be torqued to about 55 foot-pounds. But good luck getting a torque wrench in there. So just snug them down real good and it should be fine. Okay, next you want to put the axle nut back on. And then you're going to want to torque this down to 118 foot-pounds. Now I guess in 2001, even though nothing changed, for some reason the information went up to 151 or 159 foot-pounds or something like that. But the rear hub, which is the exact same hub, did not change the torque specs. So nobody's for certain why, but it should be the same. So even if you have a 01, 02, it should still be 118 foot-pounds. You can do 151 and 159 if you want, but nothing changed, so all the other years are 118 foot-pounds. And then for some reason in 01 they changed it to 151 or 159. Meanwhile, the rear was left unchanged, even though it's the exact same hub. So I'm going to torque it to 118 foot-pounds, and if you have a different year, I would just do the same, should be fine. Alright, got the caliper and rotor back on, and I just need to throw on the wheel now and I'm done.